You're listening to Afterlight Fictions. Scooter was a simple man. Not many people actually knew his real name, Bartholomew Stevens. But what they did know is 1. Scooter was a kind man. He was young and always wore a backwards hat. 2. He always had a smile on his face. On this particular day, Scooter was on his way back home from an emergency grocery store visit. He was about to cook up some chicken and peppers when he realized that he was out of onions. And you can't make chicken and peppers without onions. After you caramelize them and mix them up with everything else, and then wrap it in a nice warm burrito, the results were just delicious. As Scooter returned to his apartment complex, he was suddenly experiencing the urge to use the restroom. He had put it off while at the store because, well, let's face it, sometimes grocery store bathrooms are less than clean. But now, the urge was back and with a vengeance, and he felt the need to pick up his pace toward the elevator. As he closed the gap to the elevator doors, Mr. Chen, one of the residents at the apartment complex, could be seen slowly walking in with his small dog. As the man turned around to select his floor, he caught sight of Scooter rapidly approaching, and he used his cane to keep the door from closing. "Thanks," said Scooter. "I appreciate that. With the other elevator not working, who knows how long I might have had to wait for this to come back down." "What was that?" asked Mr. Chen. His hearing wasn't the best. I was just saying thank you for holding the door." "Whoa, okay. You're welcome. You know, they've been working on that other elevator for a week now." The doors closed. "Could you hit number 5 for me, please?" Mr. Chen leaned forward slowly, and with an extraordinary amount of concentration, he selected the 4th floor for himself and 5 for Scooter. And with that, the elevator began to move. Mr. Chen's dog appeared to decide that it did not like Scooter, or maybe it was the onions in his grocery bag. Whatever the case, Scooter was less than thrilled about how close the small dog was to his leg as it bared its teeth. "Now you stop that, Mr. Pickles," said Mr. Chen. "That's such a weird name for a dog," thought Scooter. "You could have named him Spot or Curly." It wasn't long after that thought appeared that it was replaced by Scooter's urge to use the restroom. He felt his right foot begin to tap the floor in an effort to ward off impending doom. The motion of his foot moving seemed to also aggravate Mr. Pickles. The elevator suddenly stopped at the 2nd floor. The doors opened and Mrs. Martin walked in with a big smile and an overwhelming perfume that quickly took up its own space in the small elevator. Scooter was trying not to cough or gag from the perfume. As he was looking over at the well-dressed woman, she caught him glancing over, and she wasted no time in pursuing the mundane small talk that plagues elevators all over the world. "I brought my umbrella just in case," stated Mrs. Martin as she lifted her prop for show and tell. "They said it was only a 30% chance of rain today, but you know those weathermen are wrong more often than they're right. I'd rather be safe than sorry." As she tapped the 1st floor button, slowly the doors closed. Scooter felt the joy starting to leave his face, and his mind started to wander as his urge to pee began to overwhelm the senses. Mrs. Martin noticed the change in Scooter's expression. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "You look a little fidgety." "Oh, I'm good. I guess I'm just really hungry is all. I just came back from the store and I'm ready to cook everything so I can eat it." The elevator paused once more as the door began to open for the third floor.
"Oh, come on," shouted Scooter in his mind. "This is ridiculous. Are we going to hit every floor on the way up? I don't know if I'm going to make it."
When the doors were wide open, Scooter recognized the creepy figure that stood in wait. It was the smelly man. He didn't know his name, but he always smelled like he had just been on a 5-mile run and then forgot to shower afterward. Oh, this is just going to be great, thought Scooter. The smells in here are about to get real weird. Mr. Pickles seemed to also agree as he backed away from the smelly man as much as he could. Oh my, stated Mrs. Martin. She made a face to acknowledge the new stench while blissfully unaware of her own. Scooter snuck a curious glance in her direction to see if she would say anything more. It looked as if she was going to keep her thoughts to herself. But just as all seemed calm, Mr. Chen came out of nowhere with the surprise comment. "Good Lord, you smell that, Mr. Pickles?" The dog seemed to whine in agreement. Scooter eyed everyone in the elevator, waiting for further reply, but no one seemed to say anything. And then the doors closed. The awkward silence continued, but Scooter was honestly fine with that at this point. I might have to just get out and find a restroom if this elevator stops again, he thought. Sure enough, when they all reached the 4th floor, the elevator paused yet again. As the doors opened, people moved back to make room for the newcomer. At the same time, Mr. Chen and Mr. Pickles started to leave for their apartment. This caused Scooter to be pinned in the corner of the elevator. If he tried to make a move now, he'd have to get closer than he wanted to the smelly man, or risk getting too close to Mr. Pickles, who was still giving him an occasional growl. Oh my gosh, all right, just one more floor, he thought. One more, then I can just use my own bathroom. As everyone settled in their new spots, Scooter didn't recognize the new face, probably because it was partially blocked by a hoodie, but he could hear music blaring from the man's headphones. The man seemed content to stay in his own bubble with minimum interaction, but he did make an audible sniff in the air, as if to acknowledge the presence of the plethora of fun smells that were now mixing together. He quickly looked around to pinpoint the source, but no action was taken. Instead, he turned back toward the front of the elevator with his hands in the front pockets of his hoodie and continued listening to his music. And once again, the doors closed. Scooter's urge was now all-consuming. It was all he could do just to keep his bladder locked down and not allow anything to escape. His whole body was beginning to twitch and fidget, and the elevator seemed to take longer than it should to reach its final floor. At last, the elevator stopped, and the doors opened, and immediately Scooter pushed forward to exit, but, to his surprise and horror, Patricia was also at the door, waiting to go down to the lobby. A quick side note on Patricia. She was Scooter's longtime apartment complex crush. She lived 3 doors down from him, and occasionally they would cross paths in the morning when he left for work. He still hadn't quite worked out how he wanted to ask her out on a date, but he had made slow progress from saying simple hellos to one day, recently, he ran into her at the elevator and introduced himself. They spoke for only a moment, and Scooter hadn't quite worked up the courage yet to ask her out, but now, of all times, this was an opportunity, a chance to keep the conversation going and potentially ask for her number. At this point, Scooter's bladder was displaying near superhuman abilities as it ignored all urges, and he smiled an almost embarrassingly large smile while making eye contact with Patricia at the elevator entrance. "Oh hey, Patricia, how are you?" "Oh hello," she said. "Scooter, right?" He could feel himself becoming a little flustered. He wasn't prepared for this conversation now. Of all times for opportunity to strike. "Just keep it together, man," he told himself. "Relax, you got this." Before he could finish his pep talk, he didn't notice that the doors were closing as Patricia walked in. Scooter was still inside the elevator, and the doors were now shut.